Go.
Great. Thanks, Cam.
You got it.
Hey, hey, Mick. In a situation like on Sunday, where it was kind of a breakdown across the board, what becomes the sort of the teaching moment for you guys as coaches, or is it just flush it down and let's move on?
Yeah, I think during the game you try and take one play at a time, and coaches quickly and as fast and adjust as best you can. And coach, I think the biggest thing as a coach for the players is you try and stay as consistent as possible. Whether that's in victory or defeat. So as the game goes on, we try and do that as a coaching staff and still try and coach as hard as we can. And then same thing on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's just trying to be as consistent as possible and give them the coaching points that you feel like they need because they deserve it.
When you look at that tape, is there something that you can kind of put your finger on why that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think we obviously didn't do anything good enough in that game. It starts with us as coaches doing a better job of getting the players ready to go. Our level of urgency, as a staff to them wasn't what it should have been. And I think overall, as you go into the game, you're trying to get positive plays. And we didn't do a good enough job of starting drives with positive plays to stay ahead on down distance, which I think you guys have seen that has been a key part of our success in prior games on offense. And we didn't do a good enough job of that from the first series. And then we obviously had some penalties there that hurt us as well, negative plays, all the things that we talk about avoiding. We obviously didn't do a good job of eliminating those.
Go ahead, Hondo.
Mick, obviously this offense is far more talented than they showed on Sunday. So when you look at that, at this far into the season as a coach, what concerns you of that to be listless, to be the way they perform? What's the most concerning thing about that, sir?
Again, I think I said it before. I think it starts with everybody looking at themselves and what they could have done better. I know I've done that for myself. I know all the coaches and the staff have done that themselves as well. You go into it and say, just how can I get better? How can I improve? I think our best football is in front of us, like Coach McDaniels has said. We're going to try and, we're down here in Florida this week and looking to improve and just try and get better every single day and go face a very good Jacksonville Jaguar, defense led by Mike Caldwell, who's a very good coach. Obviously runs a very difficult scheme that he ran with Todd Bowles there in Tampa Bay and his time in New York. So we have a challenge this week, and the level of urgency I feel like with the players has been good to start this week. We have a good feel, and we're excited to get going. And I know we're excited to get on the practice field tomorrow and get better. And again, when you go through a loss in the NFL, whether it's by 1 point, 20 points, 50 points, you have to move on because it's a loss, and you have to move on to the next opponent because the next opponent's ready to go, and they're going to be ready for you. So we're going to do that this week and just keep moving forward.
Mick, when Mark Davis made the coaching change, he talked about this was not a rebuild, that this team was coming off 10 wins in a playoff. So as a coach, when you look at where you are this far into the season and behind the eight ball, does that put even a more sense of, I don't want to say stress, but certainly pressure, because the owner's been very emphatic about what the expectations are?
Yeah, again, we can't really get, us as a team, we talk about short-term goals. And as long as I think I've said this before, I think as long as we try and improve every single day that we can, and we can't focus on 3 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now, what happened 4 weeks ago. If we just focus on today and then tomorrow, focus on tomorrow, and then try and improve every single day. And I firmly believe, and we firmly believe as an organization and as a team, that if we try and improve every single day, the wins will take care of themselves. And that's what we're continuing to do. And I know we're hard at work at that as a coaching staff now. I know the players are hard at work at that now. And we believe that that will pay off moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Mick.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, when you look at the film of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're going up against a pretty talented defensive line, including the first pick in the draft in Trayvon Walker and in Josh Allen. What challenge does that give for your offensive line?
Yeah, it's a great question, Levi, because they really are a talented group. Josh Allen's a very good pass rusher on the edge. Fadokasi on the inside, we played him numerous times with his time with the Jets. They're big, they're long, they're powerful, and they're strong. And they make a lot of negative plays in the backfield. and they do a good job against the run. They can rush the passer. So again, I think we obviously have experience with them. We've got to play in the preseason, which was beneficial. So the guys have studied them a little bit, but I think it starts in the film room today. The guys are hard at work, kind of studying their habits, looking at their tendencies in terms of pass rushers, how they play the run, what fronts they play. So getting a head start on that. So that's a challenge for the offensive line. And then moving forward, just going up in practice and, working the techniques that they have. But again, they're long, they're fast, they're strong. So we got to focus on our fundamentals this week for sure, big time. Whether that's hand placement, whether that's punch, and whether that's our sets, we got to make sure that we're really good fundamentally moving forward and be consistent with it. Because if we're not on Sunday, then obviously that front's really going to make us pay.
All right, we'll do last two for Adam.
Yeah, Mick, you referenced kind of early in drives, early in possessions, and early in series.
Yeah.
Just specifically on first down, were you able to identify anything? Because the first down numbers this week were just kind of really puzzling, I guess, in terms of what you guys have done before.
Yeah. Again, whether it's run game or pass game, we're trying to get a positive play, right? So in terms of going back and looking at it, in terms of what we ran, I really can't really speak to that in terms of we have felt like there were good plays. We try to execute them the best of our ability. But if we go out there and we're putting ourselves in, I would say, some penalty situations, not come off the ball, not getting aligned, not doing our assignment correctly, or just not communicating on a play-to-play basis, then we're going to struggle. That's it for all plays. And you're right, first down is vital to success in drives. And we didn't do a good enough job of that, whether it was protection, whether it was, run blocking, whether it was routes, whatever it was, we didn't do a good job in all areas of that. And that's really falls on us as coaches.
And you're kind of referencing it there, but just more specifically, like how much strain does it put on you when first down goes the way it did in terms of, second down play calling and trying to figure out, how to stay out of those third longs?
Yeah, again, so you get a negative play on first down, and then you're in a get back on track situation, and you don't execute well on this get back on track, and then you're obviously in third and long, which you try and stay away from. And I think we had 6 third and 10 pluses in the game, or in the first 3 quarters, which obviously when you have that many third and 10 pluses, your success rate for third down goes way down, and you obviously trying to stay in the 50% range on third down to try and win the game, and we weren't really good enough at doing that. So we want to try and avoid get back on track situations. We want to try and move the chains and get going. And again, whether it's execution, whether that's penalties, or whether that's fundamentals, they're all encompassing in terms of not being successful on first and second down. We have to do a better job of that. And obviously we have to do a better job as a coaching staff of getting together a better plan in terms of how can we guarantee that we're going to have positive plays in those 2 downs. So we're hard at work at doing that this week.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Vinny will have the first couple questions. He's ready to go. Thanks.
Hey, Coach. I know you've tried a lot of different ways to create consistent pass rush pressure. Any thoughts or feelings on why it might not be coming together as you would have hoped consistently?
Well, it always starts with me, in terms of just got to figure out a way to coach it better and just put them in better spots to create some more negative plays in terms of the pass rush and getting some consistent pressure. And, based on the game and how the flow of the game goes, I think they had 32 carries last week, but again, no excuses. We just got to figure it out just to find a way to be more consistent in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. But it starts with me, and that's what we're working on today, heading into the game versus Jacksonville. They got a quarterback, young quarterback who can throw the ball all around the field. They have some unique weapons on the perimeter in terms of the passing game, and so that the process starts there. And they got a pretty big and athletic O-line that presents some challenges in terms of getting to the quarterback. So we're just going to stay diligent there and just working hard today and for the rest of the week to try to figure out a plan.
It seems like the middle of the field has been an area where opponents are attacking. Any reason for that, and why that teams have been successful? And then also on Sunday, it looked like you guys went a little bit less on 3 safeties, brought Blake Martinez in for Abram. It looked like. What was the thought process behind on that?
So the middle of the field, I think it's just for the quarterbacks is usually the easier throw. You know, it's hard. It's hard out in this. It's hard in this league to throw it out on the perimeter consistently, just because the time, the spacing in terms of getting the ball out there and taking a risk with corners could be trapping out there. Just the reaction time. But anytime you're talking about the pass game, the easiest throws are straight ahead. And we got to do a better job of defending that and just understand that's part of the league, especially, that's a big part of how the passing game plays out in the league. And then in terms of just personnel, we try to do what we think is best for that week or that given plan. And, everything's reevaluated, the following week and try to put together a plan for Jacksonville, a team that presents a lot of challenges in terms of their skill, their people they have blocking, and just the scheme that Coach Peterson's put in. Having gone against them several times when I was with the Giants, and also when I was at Miami, he presents some challenges, especially for that middle part of the field.
Patrick, I would like to ask you, when you're looking at guys who are making mistakes and it's consistent, Josh said when the roster was put together, everybody here belongs here and can play here. Do you look at going with some younger guys like a Luke Masterson, a Sam Webb, giving some guys some shots when the defense just trying to find some type of sustainability?
I think, what we do is, I think I spoke about it earlier, all opportunities are earned on the practice field. And so, again, whether it's age, youth, or, experience, is just really trying to put together what we think is best for that week. But, the guys that will be out on the field are the guys that, we say are that earned in practice. And that's really the process that we go through here. So again, I can't speak for when we got here, the roster, again, we got good players here, and we got to figure out a way to make sure that they're. I got to make sure I'm putting them in the right spots, and we got to obviously have to execute at a higher level, and it all starts with me.
But obviously, I'm not going to ask you to give me the game plan, but you guys have got to get more pressure. I think you would agree on that with the quarterback. So now do you have to look into your bag of tricks? Maybe it's some things you haven't done. Do you have to look at new ways of creating it?
I think obviously when when you look at it 2-5, and we got to find some ways to create more pressure. We got to find ways to just help the team win. That's the biggest part. That's the biggest thing. I'm not concerned about numbers in terms of pressure or anything like that. Is how can we affect the quarterback more? How can we create negative plays? And does it involve going into the bag of tricks? Sometimes, and again, we're in the early parts of the process right now, but sometimes it's just, trying to see if we could do some stuff better. But we're open for all things right now. So in terms of just, that's a normal week of preparation in terms of getting ready for a team.
Coach, looking over the Saints film, a lot of things is not really necessarily from a schematic problem, but more just fundamentals, just of tackling, things of that nature. How do you crack down on just being more of a fundamentally sound team going to this game?
Again, starts at practice. What we have to do is, simulate as much as we can, tackling situations, in terms of involving, like, obviously without going live. That's the challenge. But all 32 teams have to deal with that challenge. College teams, high school teams, everybody has to deal with that. So we just got to, make sure the drills that, as we're working the drills, we're trying to create as game-like situations as possible, and just really focusing on the fundamentals, keeping the main thing, not to use a bunch of cliches, but that's really what it is. Football comes down to running and tackling, and that's going to be a big focus for us. It always is a focus for us, and you just got to find ways to improve it.
We'll do final 2 questions for Adam.
Yeah, Coach, you talked about defending the middle of the field in the passing game. In particular, Kamara and now with ATN this week are so difficult to cover as receivers. Why are running backs that are good receivers in the backfield such a challenge to deal with?
It's the dilemma, the run pass dilemma, just in terms of when you have a guy that can run the ball, then, you play defense for the run, and then all of a sudden now they're involved in the passing game. Again, just like, it's a tough matchup, and you can see, the league goes in different, there's always been backs that could catch the ball. There's no question. But in my 14 years in the league, you saw at one point where it was, okay, let's go with the 2 tight end system and try to get the tight ends more involved in the pass game. Then all of a sudden, then it transitioned to now getting the backs more involved. It's just, the offensive coordinators being innovative, finding ways to get the backs in favorable positions and matchups. And it just becomes difficult because, again, they do 2 things. They catch the ball and they run. And, you just look at Jacksonville, they have some backs that can catch the ball. They're dynamic in the pass game and also dynamic in the run game. And it presents, a challenge for this week. And we got to figure out the plan and figure out the best way to take it away.
And the other one is just in terms of forcing turnovers. Is that about just doing what you guys do fundamentally and they'll come, or is it more there's ways to try to create them and force them?
There's always, that's one of the beautiful things about coaching. We try to find ways to make sure in practice that we're simulating as much as we can the game conditions. And same thing with turnovers as it would be with setting the edge. Trying to find what you're finding ways to create opportunities for those guys to practice what's going to come up in the game. It starts with presenting them with the opportunities for turnovers. Okay. And then, also trying to create, schematically opportunities for turnovers, and then just looking to execute once we get to game day. But, it all starts with, practice, starts with the film study, then with practice, and then you're looking for, game execution. So that's where that process goes.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.